Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, so we'll get started soon. For now, there's a Google Drive attached to that like tiny URL. Just download all the files in that folder. So you can just go ahead and download the entire thing. For everybody, just make sure you download all of the files from this tiny URL link. And we'll give you all maybe, I don't know, we'll wait a few more minutes for people to show up. Once you guys download the files, and we'll get started in a bit. Yeah, that's why we're downloading these files. So those are going to be individual part files, and then you guys will put them together. I think it should be easier than the last one.
Just like more of a satisfying.
Yeah. I feel like it's more satisfying. So we're going to be putting together basically like a kind of like a model of a robot. So I'll pull it up right now. It looks like this. So I've already like headed out like all these parts, and then we'll just basically put it together, and we'll be able to spin this little thing around. What? Yeah, download just the entire folder. Yeah. Oh, I got 4 Discord things. So God. Okay, it's fine. That's good. Basically, just log on, and then we're gonna download some parts from this URL. All right. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So thanks everyone for coming. So As you might have heard today, we're going to be essentially assembling a robot. So on this URL, you might just want to like jot this down, but it's pretty easy to remember if you haven't downloaded it already. We're going to have a bunch of individual part files for a robot. So if you look at this, this is what we're going to be trying to build today. And so you'll notice on the left, in the browser, there is a ton of like individual parts. These are all individual parts of the robot. So like this is the bottom plate, this is the side plate, this is another bottom plate, but it's on the top now. This is the weapon. So some of these parts are the parts we've been making over the past few days. Like for example, this is past 2 workshops, I guess, actually. This is the motor we were trying to CAD last time. And we also have like this battery that we CADed at the very first workshop. So essentially, this is a SolidWorks assembly. How this works is basically, like I've shown, you take a bunch of parts and then you put them together into a big assembly like this, and you kind of fix them into place using these geometric constraints. So once you've downloaded all the files, the first thing you want to do is you want to make a new file, right, in SolidWorks. So you go to File, New. And then this time, instead of making a part, we're going to make an assembly. So make sure you hit New, click Assembly, and hit OK. And it should bring up just an empty window, kind of like this. And on the left side of the screen, you should be able to choose a document to open. So try to get to the screen right here. I think it's probably the solid file, so you might have to extract it first. So yeah. So what you want to do then is now you want to navigate to where you downloaded the folder. So for example, I downloaded mine to downloads. It might not show up here if you didn't extract the zip file. So if you didn't extract it and you want to show up, you can just change this from showing only SolidWorks files to all files. And then your zip file should show up there. You can right click on it and hit extract. But if you already extracted it, all you need to do is go into the folder, and then you'll have all your parts here that are part of the robot. So we're going to be first importing just this bottom plate. So you'll just click on bottom plate.solid part and then click open. And then this will bring it into your CAD assembly. So for example, I have it right here, basically attached to my mouse. If I move my mouse around, it kind of moves around. So you can just sort of place it honestly wherever you want. So I'm just going to place it right here for now. So in our assembly, this is kind of going to be the base part of it. This is like the first part we place. So we're going to kind of almost like constrain everything to this part. And so right now, if you click and drag on this part, notice it's automatically fixed, right? So what SolidWorks does is the first part you import, it kind of treats it like this base part. It assumes everything else you're going to make is going to be kind of built off of this. So this one's going to be fixed to a specific location. If you happen to not want that, what you can do is you can right click on this and then go to float, this option here, and then that'll let you drag it around. But in our case, we will want it fixed. So we're going to go ahead and change it back to fixed. And then you can do this with any other part in the assembly too. So if you want to fix like a different part, then you can do that as well. You can float this part to later if you would like. All right, so everybody's got this one part in here, right? I got to. Oh, did you like click twice? Okay. Just escape. Okay, now it looks like you've got it twice, so you can click on that and just hit delete. Just say yes. Oh yeah, we're gonna make a brand new assembly and then we'll import out this. So we're gonna kind of like that's the that's the full assembly. Press all. Yeah, good. Just try to make it this. All right, so after you have this one part in, then you'll obviously want to import like your second part. So I'm just gonna be switching back and forth between this and the full assembly. So if we look at this full assembly, I guess the next part we could try to start adding is these front and like sort of back plates right here. So we're gonna try to build kind of the walls of this robot. So kind of like the frame of it. So we see that this part here is called a front plate. So we're gonna try to assemble this front plate part that we've created onto this bottom plate. So again, in order to import any parts, you'll go to the top where it says insert components. You'll click that button. And then it'll bring up this menu. Just go to browse. And then you'll be able to choose your part. So I'll choose front plate, open it. And then I'll just bring it in and just kind of drop it like anywhere. That's like vaguely within like where I want it to be. It doesn't matter if it's like clipping into another part or if it's just like in the wrong place. We'll basically constrain it into place using like geometric relationships. So just plop it down somewhere for now. You can click and drag it wherever you want. But yeah, just try to get this part into your model. So now that you have this part in here, we're going to start adding constraints. So if you go, I think the term in SolidWorks is mates, I guess, but at the top, you'll see all these options. The one you're going to want to use is this mate option. So if you click this, it has the kind of paperclip symbol on it. It'll open up this sort of interface on the left where you can choose a bunch of different mates. The two that are going to be most interesting or most, I guess, like commonly used, probably going to be the concentric and coincident constraints. So for now, we're going to use the coincident constraint. And what the coincident constraint basically does is it attaches kind of like two faces together or 2 points or like 2 edges together, essentially. So we're going to choose coincident. So just click on it. And then you'll see it kind of highlight. And then it'll let you select in this box, basically 2 objects to mate together. So I'm going to choose this face of this bottom face of this plate. And then I'm going to choose this top plate of this bottom plate like that. And then you'll see it sort of sticks them together. I have the animations turned off, but I believe on yours it might play like a little animation. So you can kind of visualize how these two parts basically come together. And then you can hit OK like that. So now this plate is stuck to the top of that. Oh yeah, so basically you see you've already had that face selected. So if you remove that, I think if you right click on it and you face select it, and now you can select. Yeah. And then right now it's kind of oriented like the wrong way that you want. Like you see how this is like you want it to be. Yeah, yeah, or yeah. So this one. And make sure you select like the right face. Yeah. You might want to select the one on the other side. Depending on like which side you want to call off, which side you want to call that out. Yeah. So basically, just like the two faces that you want to stick together, you select both of them and then we'll stick it together for you. All right. And then once that's good, I believe it should stick them together for you. And then you'll notice that like if you click and drag on this part, you'll only be able to move it in this plane now. So you've essentially removed kind of like 1 degree of freedom for this part. It can't move like up and down now. It can only move this way, and also like rotate, I guess, in plane with this other part. So now we're gonna fix it more into place. We're gonna use these screw holes basically to align the plates. So we're going to choose the concentric constraint this time. We're going to click that, and then we're going to click inside of this hole here. So you can either like select this circle, or you can select this whole cylindrical face. So just whatever like I guess you want to do. As long as it's like a circular feature, it'll work. So like I'll select this circular edge. And then I'll select sort of this circular edge right here, like that. And then it aligns those two to be concentric with each other. So basically it lines up the centers of the circle. And then you can hit the check mark here to say okay. And now this is fixed over there. You can do 2 coincident constraints. Yeah, you can if you want to shorten it or make it a different shape. Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. Yeah. With the back plate in particular, you can do it, but with the one in the front, but yeah, if it like happens, design it so that it lines up, then yeah, you can do that. All right. Essentially, yeah. So, and we still have one more constraint we need to add to this. So this isn't actually fully constrained yet. If you recall, we've made one coincident between these two faces and we've aligned one screw hole. You can kind of envision that as like we just put in and tightened like a screw and a nut through this one hole. And so it still kind of has a rotational degree of freedom about our concentric holes. So you can rotate it around like this essentially right now. And we don't really want that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go add another mate. So I closed the mate window, so I'm gonna reopen it. I'm gonna choose a concentric constraint again. And then I'll make it between this circle or this hole, and also this hole right here, like that. And then it'll line those two up, and then you can just hit OK. And now if you close this mate window, you'll see these two can't move against each other. The whole thing's fixed. And if you've gotten that, what you can do is you can go ahead and add in a second plate in the back. So this is the same exact part. You go here, browse for it, get the front plate again. And then you'll just be able to use the mate commands to basically make these holes concentric with each other first, like that. Hit OK. And then I'll like drag this out a little bit just so I can select the face. I'll select this face and then this face, and it'll be coincident. I'll hit OK. And then I'll make this circle concentric with this one, and I'll just hit OK. So now I should have something that just looks like this. So I'll give you all a little time to figure that out. I would have to check the count some of yeah. If you want to work ahead, I believe. In the back side, right? Yeah, it looks like the shorter side's like closer to the back. Yeah. I think so. It might be broken. I think it's referencing like files on my hard drive. So if you open it up, it tells you like everything's broken. So yeah. Does everybody kind of have these two plates in along with the main plate? All right, cool. And then I'm just gonna duplicate one of these front plates and then kind of show you just like a few things just for the sake of example. You don't really have to follow along with this, but I just want to show you guys like what can happen sometimes when you're doing mates and kind of like what to avoid, I guess. So for example, it's possible to create like invalid constraints. So let's say I make these two faces coincident like that, right? And then I say I want this hole to be concentric with this hole, and you should not really be able to do that since I made essentially I made like this face coincident already, so it's gonna break this constraint, and you can see here it's already like red. If you hit OK, it tells you basically this mate is conflicting with another one, so it's going to give you two options. You can either break the other mate, or you can just add this mate and like over define the assembly. So basically just add this mate and then just have SolidWorks do whatever it wants to do with that, and then it'll basically flag it as an error. So like if I do that and these constraints are broken right now, it'll give you a bunch of errors in the left. So if you need to resolve this, what I would do is I would look for the broken constraint. So if you open up this mates menu, you can see the broken ones. So you can see, oh, these two are conflicting with each other. I can get rid of this concentric constraint. Just click on it, hit delete. And now it'll kind of resolve itself. So And then I can go back and kind of fix things. This might happen if you're like going back in time or like going back to your individual parts. At the maybe you had it assembled one way, and then you tried to edit your parts. You change like the hole spacing a little bit, but you don't change it like in another part. And then you end up with these conflicting constraints. So you might have to, go in there, figure out which ones are conflicting, delete them, and then kind of like reassemble it in the, I guess, proper way. And yeah, another quick shortcut if you guys want to use it. This one's really handy. So you actually do not have to open up that mate menu in order to make a constraint. What you can do is you can just click on the geometry you want. So let's say I want to make these two holes concentric. I'm going to click on this one, and then I'm going to control click on this other hole like that. And then I'm going to leave my mouse there for like a second, and you'll see all these menus pop up. This one, I can just click this button right here, and then it'll make it concentric like that. So I don't even have to open up the mate menu to make the constraint. All right, but yeah, essentially what we're going to do now is we're just going to add in these other two side plates. These should be really similar to how we added in the two front and back ones, except these are now called, these parts are called side plates. So go ahead and put those in. So just try to get to where I have it on the screen and let me know if you need any help. I'll be walking around a bit. Yeah, so those four holes, we don't really need to do anything with those. Like, or you mean the ones on the top? Like the ones. You don't really need to worry about those right now. So for now, just worry about like getting this top plate in, right? And then we'll use those later. Looks like you already got that constraint. So, you want to add. All right, seems like everyone's got this. So next what we'll do is we'll stick in the motor onto the onto one of the sides of this I guess this chassis. So we're going to insert a component and we're going to browse for the motor. So we'll grab that and then, oh God, what the fuck? All right. Yeah, so the motor's in here. Just drag that into your assembly and then just put it somewhere. It doesn't even have to be facing the correct orientation. And then once it's into your assembly, you'll be using the same sort of constraints that you've been using for the plates in order to fix this into place. So the way I'm going to do it first is I'm going to make, well, I guess if you just kind of look at the shape of this motor and kind of this cutout, you'll see kind of how this fits together. Essentially, these 4 screw holes on the face of the motor go into these 4 screw holes on, or 4 like clearance holes or through holes in the side of the plate. And so at then this big bore in the center, this big circle, that's just like to allow the axle kind of to poke through. And then these 2 faces are kind of like screwed together. So the first thing I'm going to do is you can do this a lot of ways. You can do the you can align the screw holes with the screw holes on here, which is what I'm going to do, or you can align like the big center shaft with the hole here, or you can like do the coincident constraint first. But I'll just go ahead and do it from the screw holes, since intuitively that makes sense because that's how it's like physically put together. So I'm going to select coincident, select one of these screw holes right there. And then I'll choose this hole right here, like that. And then right now, so one important thing to know right now is it's kind of facing the wrong way. I want this mate to be going the other way so that the shaft is pointed like sort of out towards me, at least from the view I'm looking at it. So you can click these mate alignment buttons. Currently, it's set to this anti-aligned, so it's like one way. If you want to flip it around, you can hit the other mate alignment button, the one that's not shaded, and then it'll kind of flip it around like this. So now the motor is facing the way we want it to. If your motor is already facing the right way, then you don't have to hit it. But if it's facing the wrong way, if you ever have like a mate, like a coincident that's facing the wrong way, or like a coincident constraint that's the wrong way, you can use this these mate alignment buttons in order to get them the way you want them to go. I'll go ahead and say okay to that constraint. And then so now that I have aligned these 2 holes, I'm going to choose another set of holes to line up. Make sure you kind of select the right set of holes. In this case, I'll select this hole and then this hole. I'll line those 2 holes up, hit OK. And now you'll see this motor is constrained kind of from rotating and moving sort of left and right and up and down with respect to the hole. So it can kind of only move like in and out right now. So finally, we'll just add one more constraint. We'll just hit this mate button. And then we'll fix these 2 faces together with a coincident constraint like that. And now this motor is fully defined, fully constrained to the body of the robot. Got it? Oh, the shaft's upside down now. So you can right click on that. And then just hit edit. You can. All right, so once you have this motor in, we're gonna add this sort of wheel, I guess wheel hub, or I forgot what I called it. Yeah, wheel hub. So this is just kind of like an intermediate part that connects the wheel to the shaft of the motor. So I'm gonna bring that in right here. So the part will look like this. And then this one's a little bit special. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make these concentric first. So you'll notice there is a sort of round component in here. This is like a hub and like a D-bore shaft. So these are special because they have like a little flat side that's used for kind of making sure that these two rotate together. So I'm just going to be concerned about making them sort of lined up first. So I'm going to try to make the circular parts of them concentric. So I'll go to this mate menu, I'll hit concentric, and then I'll select the inner kind of circular part of this. And then I'll select the corresponding face here. And now it's got them lined up. And let me move this real quick. Yeah, I believe. How did I have this set up? Okay, yeah. And so you want this sort of part that sticks out to face towards the inside of the robot. So right now I have this flipped the wrong way. So I'll hit the mate alignment button just to make it go the opposite way like that. So make sure like the completely flat side is facing the outside of your robot. And right now this can kind of like slide in and out, and it can also rotate. So we're gonna want to kind of constrain it a little bit more. And so in order to get the flat parts of the shaft to line up with each other, we're gonna use a parallel constraint. And so we're gonna select this flat part of the shaft and also this one right here. And we're gonna make those two parallel to each other like that. And then we'll hit OK. The reason why I specifically used a parallel constraint instead of the coincident constraint is because sometimes when you buy these parts, or if you get like CAD from your vendor, they might have like a little bit of tolerance built into the D shaft. So if you use a coincident constraint, sometimes it might break the concentric constraint you had earlier. So if you use the parallel constraint along with the concentric constraint, you can make it so that those two parts are still concentric and you have the flat parts of the shafts and the holes aligned with each other. All right, looks like everybody's kind of got that. So for the very last mate we're gonna do, essentially we want this to be sort of pushed up against like on the shaft somewhere, but we also don't want it like all the way like touching the side of the chassis, because obviously you want to leave a little bit of room. So we're gonna do a distance constraint. So this works really similarly to a coincident constraint, except now you're gonna basically put a little bit of distance between two planes. So I'll select it right here. It's the second to last option. And then I'll put in maybe like 5 millimeters right there. So put in 5, hit enter. And then now I'll select this face. And it kind of makes it transparent so I can see through it. And then I'm going to select this face right here. And now what that's done is it's made these two faces exactly 5 millimeters apart. Hit the check mark. Hit the check mark again. And then now this is completely constrained. Oh, I actually did so specifically I constrained between this face and then the other face. So yeah, to be if you I'll just cover this really quickly. If you ever need to go back and edit a constraint, just find it in this mate menu, or what you can do, you can open up the individual part, like kind of find whichever part the mate is attached to, and then you can expand it on the left. And then you can find the mate in this kind of mate folder. These are all the mates attached to this individual part. So this distance constraint might be like the one I want to edit. I can click the edit button, open that, and then I can change the selections, change the constraint type, whatever you want to do. And then lastly, what we're going to do is we're just going to attach the wheel to this wheel hub. So this is going to be pretty similar to, I guess, like the motor and a couple of the parts we've already done. Just bring in the wheel, put it in here. And then the wheel's a little bit asymmetrical. You've got like this sort of like more cutout face with some screw holes, some counterbore screw holes at that sort of cone on it. You're going to want this sort of flat face. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it concentric with the wheel hub and the motor. So I'll select this inner part, and then I'll select like maybe this inner part of the motor, or this circular part of the motor. And then I believe, yeah, right now this is going the wrong way. So I'll hit the flip button. I'll say okay. I'll kind of just move this motor out to where I want it for ease of like clicking things. And then I'll line it up with some of these holes. So I'll make this hole line up with this screw hole using a concentric constraint. Hit OK. And then just make this face coincident with this face like that, and just hit OK. So now this wheel is attached directly to that motor. I have to go back and edit that. Yeah, yeah. Make sure you constrain the faces to be touching each other. Yeah, using a coincident constraint. You want to make sure what those screw holes line up with these. Yeah. Kind of like think about like how it's put together. Yeah. All right. Okay. And so now that we've kind of assembled this on one side, we're actually going to mirror this to the other side of the robot so that you don't have to go through the whole process again. So to do that, what we first need is a kind of a mid plane to mirror across. So we're going to create ourselves a plane. So at the top, you see you've got this reference geometry. You click that, and then it'll give you options for planes, axes, points, center of mass. We're just going to add in a plane. So click that for a plane, and then you'll get a menu on the side. It'll ask you to select two references. The first reference we're going to select is this sort of side of the robot. And then the second reference we're going to select is this other side of the robot. And then once you do that, SolidWorks will kind of understand you're trying to make a midplane between the two. And so you see right here, it's got this midplane option selected. So it'll stick a plane right in the middle, hit OK. And now you'll have this plane. Just like if you do the inside of that, actually get inside of that. Once you've got this midplane, now you can just go ahead and confirm that, and then you can use this mirror tool. So to do that, you'll have a linear component pattern here, like this option. Click the drop down for that, and then you'll have a mirror components. Click that button, and then it'll kind of ask you for a mirror plane. So you can just click that. If it doesn't show up in your graphics window, like it doesn't for me for some reason, you can hit this button over here to kind of expand the whole model just to see the tree. And you can go down and select this plane one right there. And you can select it through that. And then for components to mirror, you can select them from this menu, or you can just click on them. So 1, 2, 3. You want to select those 3 components to mirror like that. Once you have the mirror plane and the components you want to mirror selected, you can click through these menus. So you can go to next, And then we'll sort of show you a preview. You've got all these like options for how to mirror it, but chances are SolidWorks did it right for you automatically. So this all looks fine to me. So you can just hit this check mark, hit OK, and now you'll have it all mirrored. All right, and then after you do this, you guys probably already know how to do this. We're just gonna insert the same bottom plate, but this time it's gonna be on the top. So just stick this down onto the top of your robot. All right, put this down in there, and then just like basically just choose any two holes to make concentric, and then make the two faces coincident. And now, once you've got this top plate here, we're going to stick the weapon in right now. So to do that, I'm just going to import the weapon. And for now, we're just going to make it, we're just going to center it kind of in the big holes in the middle. Right here. So I'll just use a coincident constraint. I'll make these two holes, or sorry, concentric. I'll make this hole concentric with this one, like here. And so it should be able to spin and also kind of like move up and down. And then once you've got that, we're actually going to use kind of this special mate called a width mate. This one's really convenient for whenever you want to basically center anything. So let's say I want this weapon to be exactly centered within these two plates. I'm going to go down to advanced mates. And you see one of them is called width. And then essentially you have kind of two selections. You'll actually need to select 4 objects, or I guess like 4 pieces of geometry. So the width selections are kind of like, I guess like the outer boundaries of what you want to center between. And then the tab selections are like the two kind of faces you want to center between the width selections. So I'll just go ahead and demonstrate. I think it'll make a little more sense after you see it. So for width, I'd select like between these two faces. So select these two for the width. And then for the tab, you're going to select between this side of the weapon and then the opposite side of the weapon, like that. All right, and then if you hit OK, essentially what that's done now is it's centered your weapon exactly in the middle of those two plates. So it's really convenient for when you don't want to figure out the exact distance for a distance constraint. And yeah, we're gonna leave this unconstrained for now, or basically just kind of unconstrained. So you kind of get this visualization of this spinning around as if it were like an actual like a horizontal spinner weapon. So it's pretty fun. Oh, yeah. All right. And then the very last part we're going to add is we're just going to stick a battery inside of here. So we already kind of assembled the top plate onto it, so we can't really see the insides. What you can do is you can find this bottom plate, and then you can just right click on it, or I guess the top plate, right click on it and hit hide. And so now it'll go away. It's still here on the left. So you'll see it has this kind of like hidden symbol. So if you want to make it reappear, just right click on it and hit show. But we're going to hide it for now. And then we're going to bring in the battery. And then we're just going to kind of like shove it in this corner. So just like in this kind of corner right here, we're just going to use a bunch of coincident constraints to fix it right in the corner. So there. And then there. And then yeah, so essentially just use 3 coincident constraints, shove it right there in this cranny. And then once you've got it in place, you can show this top plate back again. And if you want, you can also make this top plate transparent. So one of the right click options is set the transparency like that. And you can make it sort of clear so you can see through it all. You want to make it transparent? Just so, yeah, so just right click on that. Whichever one. I think they're both. Okay, oh yeah, right click on that. Yeah, make transparent. Unselect it. So you should let this be. Oh yeah. We're done with all of this. I think this is going to be it for the session. So let me stop the recording real quick, and I'll pull up the membership point thing. All right.